See, this is the best selection of new Buicks and GMCs we've had in years. Choose from new 2022 GMC Terrain starting at $35,995. Explore our wide range of Buick Enclaves as low as $50,998. The inventory is strong and the prices are even better. Stop in today. Luther Family Buick GMC, I-29 and 32nd Avenue South, Fargo. We are professional grade.
You want a fun night out with the family or just a great place to hang out with the guys? Fargo Billiards and Gastropub has all the fun under one roof. Foosball, ping pong, shuffleboard, pinball, darts, beanbags, bubble hockey, and of course, pool tables galore. They have delicious food and your favorite beverages to wash it all down. It's a super fun atmosphere and a great place to hang out with friends. Open for lunch or dinner every day. Fargo Billiards and Gastropub, just west of I-29 on 32nd Avenue South in Fargo.
And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday afternoon. It's 106 right now, 77 degrees. Mainly cloudy here in the FM Metro with light winds and dew points approaching 70 degrees, so it's another humid one out there. Again, thanks for joining us. I'm meteorologist Justin Storm. I'm here with Ag Director Bridgette Readel, and Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki is at home a little under the weather after he lost his bet. I guess the day's not over. We'll see what happens, but Dean's not here.
Okay, so that's the best part is that Dean lost a bet and can't even come to face up to you on it. So that's awesome. I would say that every time I've lost a bet, I've had to pay up. It's cost me a lot in caramel rolls over the last few years. I'll mention that.
The day's not done. We could maybe hit 90. I don't know. Probably not. He's got one more shot tomorrow. Probably still fall short. But
I've never been so happy to sit under quite a bunch of cloud cover as I am right now, just considering how awful it is further south. I believe if you are probably south of I-90, at least in South Dakota, if not even further north, you sort of hate the outdoors today. Would that be a fair statement, Justin?
Yeah, indeed. They have heat advisories from South Dakota and into central Minnesota, even some excessive heat warnings down in Minnesota. So much hotter to our south, and we're stuck in the cloud cover and slight north winds right now, but winds do turn more southerly throughout the day. But yeah, way hotter to our south. And once the cloud cover breaks today, which we're slowly getting that thinning of the clouds out there right now. We'll see temperatures rising up pretty quickly, but I think we're only going to top out about 87, okay. So maybe 86, 87.
Okay, yeah, but let's add that humidity into there, and nobody say it's a dry heat because that's that story they tell you in Arizona.
Yeah.
Here, it's just humid, and Dean always likes to talk about corn sweat like it was in Nebraska. We're not even there. This is just humid.
It's just humid. It's a little uncomfortably humid, is the way I like to put it. But I was running into a weird situation last night. I was out at the softball diamonds, and co-ed started up, so we've switched from Wednesday nights to Tuesday nights. Well, it was only like 71 degrees and cloudy, but the dew point was like 70 degrees as well. Like we were right on the cusp of fog. It seemed like, and like it just like it's a little, that temperature is a little chilly, but it was just a sweat fest because the humidity was so high. There's just no way to cool down. So upper 60s to low 70s felt quite warm with all the humidity while we were out there. It was kind of unusual.
Well, take while you can. And for those who are listening, by the way, I do have some curiosity. Who else is sitting under that cloud deck right now besides what you had and what I saw yesterday as well as today? So you can call us on the Red Wing Shoe hotline at 701-293-9000 if you are also in that situation, because it's a little different out there than we might have expected. How's that sound?
Yeah, much is. And there are a couple of little isolated pop-up drizzles, light showers, sprinkles around the area, and that will just help kind of keep temperatures cool. Let's say kind of along the I-94 corridor and then in the northwestern Minnesota. So Anywhere south of 94 has got a semi-decent shot of hitting upper 80s to low 90s. I just don't think we're going to hit it here in Fargo or points northward, and probably even a few spots that don't even get out of the low 80s. But
well, let's be honest. This is why it's that time of the year where I'm not putting jeans back on for a while. I'm still just wearing shorts and skirts whenever I can because, Lord, it's awful out there.
Oh, man, it sure is. Hey, you know how we talk about Russia and Ukraine quite a bit with the grain exports? Do you remember? I don't know if you've heard this yet. This is just something that's been scrolling across the TVs, so I don't know how much there is to this. But you remember that Wagner group that marched on Moscow in Russia?
Yes.
You remember how their leader made a deal with Putin?
Yes.
Well, there's been a plane crash in Russia, and apparently the boss of that group was reportedly to be on board with that. And I'm watching video of the plane crashing, and it almost looks like it got shot at and then just fell straight out of the sky.
Okay, I am not laughing at that news story because any plane crash is a bad thing. But what I'm laughing at is that I'm like, hey, Justin, over here, this radio show that we're doing, I know you're busy watching TV, but do you just want me to take care of this myself? Or how would you like the rest of this to go?
No, we can go. We can get back to it.
All right. But you are exactly right. There is an awful lot of conspiracy theories that are going to center around what's been happening over in Ukraine and Russia right now.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's just kind of interesting. I just saw that pop up, so I just thought it was kind of interesting. I feel like most people probably saw that coming.
I really like the headlines that you share when you're catching them there. I appreciate that.
All right, well, let's see. Coming up on the show today, we do have a guest. That's going to be Madison MacDonald Thomas. She's out of Montana. She's a rodeo trick rider, so she'll be joining us here at the 1:20 hour. So in just about 8 minutes or so, a couple other topics that we're going to try to get to is climate-friendly cows, starting flocks from youth, and deadly manure pit accidents. So those are the three topics we're going to try and get to this afternoon.
There's a few things that are going on there. So when you think about climate-friendly cows, and Dean and I had touched on this just briefly the other day, that is the fact that there is some breeding being done. And this is going to be the first dairy herd. It's happening in Canada where the animals have been bred with genetics to produce less methane. And so these are literally cattle that would produce less methane in order to help meet greenhouse gas emission standards. Let's remember that methane, in all actuality, is very much the smallest part of greenhouse gas. Methane is the one that will dissolve most easily in the atmosphere. It only lasts a short while versus like carbon dioxide, nitrogen, or nitrate, excuse me. So when you're thinking about why you would want to do this, well, if you're as a country trying to meet those carbon emissions, this is going to be kind of the future of what you're going to look for in breeding cattle as well as other animals. Cattle are the one that get the most bad name for it. And this is going to be in a dairy herd, actually, where they're going to try to help reduce probably 30% methane release out of the animal. Who's the person who has to be on the back end of the cow measuring 30% less of methane?
Not me.
Sounds like an intern project to me.
Definitely an intern project.
Not the one you were hoping for either.
Doesn't sound like a good time.
Nope, not so much. And so, good question for you. What was your worst intern project or project you had to do when you were in college, Justin?
My worst one? Oh my.
Any really bad things they did to you in meteorology school? Like, you had to stand there and get hit by the hailstones?
Well, I almost died one time, so I guess that could maybe be the worst, but it was also one of the most exciting, or maybe fun, you would say. I don't know how exciting it was, but we took a Doppler on wheels, one of the old radar trucks that they used to have on storm chasers back in the day on the Weather Channel, and we took one of those out in the middle of a blizzard, and we were kind of out there, and it was 55 mile an hour straight line winds with minus 15 degree temperatures and wind chills about 20 or about 40 something below. So it was really cold. And then we started getting freezing fog, and I started getting a little worried that the radiators were going to ice up on the trucks and the generators were going to fail because of that. And ain't no one coming to get us because it's a whiteout. It's 3 a.m.
Right.
And all I can say is even while the truck was running, it was cold inside of that truck. It was very cold.
If we're going to talk about cold weather temperatures, I can tell you that every year in January, the Minot Ag Show happens at the end of January. It's the show that's really kind of a premier opportunity, especially for growers, to come in and see all sorts of equipment, etc. And there's a lot of Canadians that come down. There was a year that the actual air temp was minus 25, and I remember having to wear a jacket inside my vehicle because it felt like the car couldn't keep up headed to Minot that year. It was so cold. Not awesome.
Well, why don't we run down the forecast real quick, and then when we'll get to our guests that'll be joining us here in just a few moments. So currently out there, we're sitting at 74 degrees. It's overcast skies right now. A couple of isolated pop-up showers along I-94 stretching into northwest Minnesota, and we'll see that continuing for the next, maybe another hour or two, and then we're just going to get a decrease of clouds. Skies will go partly cloudy and eventually should go mostly sunny by this evening, with temperatures reaching to the mid and then a few spots upper 80s. We'll have light and variable wind in direction under 10 miles an hour. For tonight, there is a chance for an isolated storm. This is going to favor up in the Northern Valley and up by the Devil's Lake Basin, and a storm or two could be on the strong to severe side. It's something we'll keep an eye on, but not a very high chance on that. But still could get some damaging wind, maybe some hail out of those, and although slim, the possibility of an isolated tornado is not zero, so we'll just keep an eye on what's going on up around the Devil's Lake Basin throughout the overnight hours. Tonight, outside of that, it'll be a little patchy fog around the area with temperatures in the mid-60s, and as we head into Thursday, it's going to be another warm and humid one, upper 80s, partly cloudy. We'll have northeast winds turning southerly about 5 to 10. And throughout the late afternoon, mainly after about that 4 o'clock hour, we'll see some storms possibly developing west of the Devil's Lake Basin, pushing east into the Northern Valley throughout the evening, and then kind of filtering into the Southern Valley around the FM metro through the late evening and into your overnight hours. And again, a couple of those storms could be on the strong to severe side. It's just the severe weather tomorrow would favor more northwest of Fargo, but we still are in that little slight chance that we could get some strong storms tomorrow evening into your Thursday night. After that, temperatures start to finally cool down. We're right around 80 degrees on Friday, north winds 10 to 15, partly cloudy, and a fairly decent weekend, at least a refreshing one. We're in the mid-70s on Saturday, upper 70s on Sunday. Could get a couple of scattered showers on your Sunday evening, and then we start to dry out again into next week with temperatures slowly warming back close to 80 by Wednesday. So we're kind of shaking the humidity and getting more seasonable temperatures, which I think will be quite refreshing.
I look forward to any and all of refreshing. I realize that this means we're getting closer to fall. And, Justin, I'd be okay with a really long fall. I don't have a problem with watching harvest go on for a while with less mud, with less snow, and all the other things that would associate with it. That would be great.
A long fall and then a mild, snowy winter. How does that sound?
When you say mild and snowy, does that mean I won't have to have ice? Because I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, you'll get the ice with the snow.
Could I have less ice than I did last year? Because I felt like I learned a whole new driving technique. It was sort of like ice escapades, except I was doing it in my pickup all the time.
I just quit driving.
I
didn't have to go anywhere. I just stayed home.
Okay. Well, that was easier then.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right, folks, we are going to get our guest on the line with us, and that is Madison MacDonald Thompson. She is a trick rider out of Montana. We're going to talk about her horse, about training him, about the care of her animal, and how in the world do you decide that you want to stand on the back of a horse and ride in an arena? We'll find out. Stick with us right after this.
Welcome to Inside the Huddle for a Vikings training camp update. We're updating you on the Vikings all preseason long, bringing you up to week 1 when the Vikings host the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. These updates are brought to you by Jiffy Lube of Fargo. Head coach Kevin O'Connell spoke to media after the Vikings' 24-16 loss to the Tennessee Titans in week 2 of the preseason. O'Connell gave his thoughts on evaluating players based on their execution in preseason games.
Yeah, we have to be able to see guys in certain aspects that they're going to need to show what they're capable of doing at this point, whether it's a rookie, a second-year player, a veteran player. We need to know what we have, so when we actually start game planning for opponents, we can build the best plans for our players, because that's ultimately what my number one goal is when I meet with the staff. each and every week of the season is how do we do our part to make sure we give these guys a good chance to have success by schematically what we're asking them to do, and then are we teaching them the techniques and fundamentals to go do that. So I think it's a great point, but I still would like to see our team able to come out in these preseason games and compete to get victories as well, no matter who's in the game. It really, that doesn't matter. We're always trying to come out and win football games.
This has been a look inside the huddle of Vikings training camp. These updates are brought to you by Jiffy Lube of Fargo, where you can do more in a jiffy.
Are you looking for an event photographer? Then look no more. Urban Toad Media offers a wide range of event photography, from corporate and commercial events, private parties, press coverage, and more. Urban Toad Media understands the importance of capturing every element of your event in a professional manner. They can work in any environment and have an eye for spotting the special moments, whether it's a business event or private celebration. Contact Urban Toad Media today to book your event at urbantoadmedia.com.
Tired of fast food for lunch? Then choose delicious food made fresh every day. Choose O'Kelly's with fresh made tasty lunches for only $10. And they've added some new menu items like Shrimp Street Tacos and Chips. Enjoy the Pork Belly Street Tacos, the Burrito Bowl, Chicken Caesar, Meatball Sub, Roast Beef Melt, or the Cuban. All sandwiches come with chips, and each sandwich made fresh every day and only $10 any weekday. Now that's a lunch you can sink your teeth into. That's O'Kelly's. Delicious food priced right. I-29 in Maine, in Fargo.
Jay, you're a car guy, right?
Oh, yeah.
When your car breaks down, you want a towing company you can trust, right?
Absolutely, Kelsey. I want a local company that's experienced, provides fast, reliable service no matter the situation, and available 24/7.
Exactly. I'm Kelsey Lomsdahl, owner of Aggressive Towing and Recovery, family owned with 15 years of experience. A name you can trust. You may not need us right now, but when you do, there's only one name you need to know: Aggressive Towing and Recovery. Online at aggressivetow.com.
Boost your crop's health with Domark 230 ME and Badge SC fungicide exclusively from Gowan, USA. Domark's systematic action teams up with Badge's outstanding mixing properties for unbeaten disease control on sugar beets, dried edible beans, and canola. Experience the power of two different modes of action with Domark and Badge. Don't wait. Contact your local ag retailer and ask about Domark 230 ME and Badge SC. Always read and follow label directions from Gowan, USA.
It's about tradition, values, and family ties. Pucklet Chevrolet GMC's tradition of giving back to our community remains a priority, and that's why we've partnered with many local nonprofit organizations and events. And our tradition of giving this community a fair and honest offer continues. Right now, you can save nearly $8,000 on a new Chevy Silverado 1500. We're Pucklet Chevrolet GMC in Valley City. Tradition, values, and family ties.
See dealer for details.
And welcome back to WDAY Weather and Ag in Focus. I'm Bridgette Readel, Ag Director, along with our illustrious meteorologist, Justin Storm.
Thank
no
you.
Sounder for you?
No, I left it out. I played it at the beginning.
Okay. Well, you're welcome, because you're doing a stellar job sitting behind the weather desk, taking care of all good things, making sure none of us are out when we shouldn't be storm chasing or something like that, right?
Man, wouldn't that be fun to go out storm chasing? We haven't even had any good setups to do it this year. Outside of the one day by, what was it, Monoman, where they had 9 tornadoes. That was the only day in my book I think was a good day. Minus
I don't want to
damage, of course.
I don't want to wish derecho on anyone, but I'll keep that in mind for you. If it starts to happen, I'll load you up and we'll go.
Just something about just an isolated tornado in a freshly harvested field. Just no destruction, just cool weather.
All right, we'll go for it. So the other thing we want to make sure to do is, if that should happen to one of you, maybe you have a strong storm that passes through, you can visit with one of our Here We Grow sponsors, and that would be Dakota Bank. Dakota Bank is new in town, so to speak, in Fargo, but they have long been in the region as an ag lender, and they would be more than happy to help you if the time should arise that you need to recover from such a storm, or better yet, protect everything even before that happens. And secondly, talk about protecting things. North Dakota Estate Services would like to talk to you to make sure that everything is in order when it comes to farm transitioning. Also, any of your assets that you want to make sure you pass on to the next generation, etc. Because Justin and I spent some time with Mark Wagner from North Dakota State Services, and we learned we probably don't quite have all our ducks in a row, do we?
No, we definitely don't. But we're getting there. We are getting there.
We are getting there. And for those who might need any of that protection, well, that could maybe fall to our guest today. And we have joining us Madison MacDonald Thompson. Madison is from Montana, and this is not something you see on everybody's business card. She's a trick rider for rodeos. So, Madison, how are you today?
I'm good. How about yourselves?
Hey, I'm doing well.
We are great.
Oh, did my connection not go through?
No, we can still hear you. Your video's a little frozen, but we still got the audio, so we should be okay for now.
So,
perfect.
Madison.
I'm good. I'm in Utah now.
Well, I need to know, how is it that you decided that this was a great idea to ride on the back of a running horse around a rodeo arena? Tell me more.
Honestly, I started bugging my parents, I think, at the age of 4. And at the age of 6 is when they started putting me into lessons. And I got lucky. My mom used to produce Wild West shows for the Calgary Stampede, so she knew a lot of trick riders. And I honestly, kind of got hooked at the age of 6, and then it kind of snowballed from there. I for sure didn't think I would still be doing it, but I love it, and it's honestly given me one of the coolest lives that I could ever imagine.
Wow. So we're able to watch some of your rides on our live stream today. And so for folks who haven't had a chance to get onto that, please do. You can see us on YouTube, Facebook, as well as Acres TV, because the fact that you are literally hanging off the side of a horse, and it's not just at a slow trot by any means. Are you training your horses to do that? How are you training you to do that? What goes into this, Madison?
Honestly, I've been doing it for so long. It's kind of, I feel like, just turned into muscle memory. I teach it a lot, but every horse that I trick ride on in a show, I've trained myself. It's one of those things where I kind of would like to know what I'm dealing with. I spend a lot of time, I've trained a lot of horses for other fellow trick riders as well, but I've been blessed with having a pretty good team of horses. But I feel like I'm constantly training new ones, because as soon as they get old, as soon as they get good, you blink your eyes, and the next thing you know, they're starting to get older on you. So you're always trying to train new ones to come up behind them. But it's, I think it really helps with how much I train other students as well. And that really keeps me going.
Okay. So as I look at what's going on there, how do you pick the horse? How do you know that that's the right animal that can handle a flag waving, you standing, and fireworks going off the top of an American flagpole?
Honestly, sometimes it's just trial and error. You think that you got the right horse underneath you, and then the next thing you know, they don't work out. I've been pretty lucky where I've noticed I've gotten a lot of the horses that I trick ride on have kind of just fallen in my lap. I guess you wouldn't call them renegades, but there were ones that couldn't find any other jobs, ones that didn't work for a lot of other disciplines, and a lot of people kind of start giving up on those horses. And I always say, like, let me try them trick riding, because I feel like if they don't like a lot of disciplines, sometimes they love trick riding, because you pretty much just turn them loose and they get to run their circle, and you got to trust them, but you don't really ask a lot from them except to run and to stay in the circle. I have a new horse on right now. He's 5. I wasn't planning on trick riding on him at all, honestly. I started barrel racing on him and team roping on him, and he was super nice. And then I started running out of horsepower this spring. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to throw you on the roster and see if you work. And he's turned into an amazing horse too. And my husband and I started him last year, and we both laugh all the time, because if you would have thought that I'd be trick riding on him in a year, we're like, that is something that never crossed our mind. So you kind of get lucky. I've had a few that don't work, but I've been very blessed with kind of just having a lot of the right ones fall into my lap at the right time.
Madison, how much training and dedication goes into this to be able to do some of these things? I'd imagine that there can probably be some pretty bad accidents if you're riding a horse at quick speeds and hanging off the side of it. How much training goes into this, and how often do you have to rehearse these kind of stunts?
A lot of training, especially when you're first starting. You got to put a lot of work into what we call the basics. And then after that, it's just trusting that horse. And there's a couple of new tricks that I want to start working on, but then you always know when you start working on new ones, the chances of you hitting the ground are a lot higher. And the older I get, the least amount that I like to hit the ground. It was a lot different when I was younger. It didn't hurt as much as it does now. So I kind of stick to the ones that I've got completely mastered, but I still have that competitive itch in me where I want to do more and kind of keep growing. And so I keep trying. But, I had a lot of wrecks more when I was younger, when I was first learning it all. And then now it's kind of just turned into second nature, and it's kind of who I am. And you have to trust your horse, though, and I think that is the biggest thing that goes into it. They have to trust you, and you have to trust them, because you're pretty much just throwing the reins to them, and you're praying that they take care of you in every situation that you throw them into.
Right. And of those earlier day crashes, wrecks, oopsies, however you want to put it, any bad injuries or anything? I mean, I can imagine the injuries could probably get really bad with this. Have you personally had any big injuries as a result of either mid-show or in training?
I've actually been fairly lucky. I got taught by a really talented trick rider in California, and he really taught me how to tuck and roll and how to get out of incidences. I have broke my wrist, and I did do some damage to my lower back. I did have a stress fracture in my lower back, and that's honestly it. You get the ankle sprains here and there. The older I get, the more my knees are starting to give out on me a little bit more, but nothing crazy major that has put me out for, months and months. When I did have that stress fracture, I had to take about 3 weeks off, 2 months off. And that was probably the longest. And then plus my broken wrist, but I broke my wrist when I was 16. So, I, healed a lot faster than I do now. So, but honestly, I've been fairly lucky. I've seen quite a few wrecks. It can happen. I've seen one of my partners back in the day broke her pelvis. There have been some ladies that have lost their lives doing it. So it is one thing that every time we do go out into that arena, we don't take it for granted. You never know what can happen, no matter how much you prepare, no matter how much you take care of your horses and prep them, things happen. And we just, honestly just pray every time we step in there that we're going to get taken care of. But I've gotten to a point now where I can kind of feel things happening before they actually happen. So sometimes I do save myself. It was just even last weekend, or it was 2 weekends ago now, my one mare, we were in a rodeo that didn't have the best ground, and I was on her neck, and I could feel her take a funny step, and next thing you know, her nose was on the ground, but she was able to save herself and stand back up. But I was already picking myself off of her neck when I was feeling it happen, just to try to help her be able to recover. So it's kind of one of those things with the experience. You kind of can start feeling your horse and working with your horse the more and more you do this. And then I do everything I can with my body and the way that I put it to try to help them out as well.
Wow. We're watching some of your video here in between our conversations, and some of the things that are happening are absolutely crazy. So when we come back, I want to ask you how some of these stunts are performed and how you're able to stay on the horse while you're doing that. And we do have the video of it as well for those watching on the live streams on Facebook or YouTube Live, Acres TV. And we'll try to explain what's going on for those that are just listening via radio, but you can always go back to the YouTube channel and check it out afterwards. So when we come back, we'll hit that part of the conversation, get a few more of our questions answered. And if you have any for Madison, who's a rodeo trick rider, feel free to give us a call on the Red Wing Shoes phone line. That's 701-293-9000. Or you can always email us, weather@flagfamily.com or ag at flagfamily.com. So stay tuned. Weather and Ag in Focus. We'll be right back.
Three Lions Pub is a place for ladies every Friday and Saturday night. On Saturday, ladies get $1, you call it. There's a drawing for relaxing products from Nature's Therapy.
Bring your better half for the Friday night date night deal. 2 meals and a bottle of wine for $35. There's also a variety of beer on tap. Lunch is back 7 days a week, 11 to 3. And all first responders, military, and seniors save 15% every day.
Friends, food, and fun at Three Lions Pub on 13th Avenue in West Fargo.
Rev up your engines for Track Talk with Jason Berg, the ultimate racing radio show every Monday night at 6:30 on WDAY Radio. From the hottest drivers, latest racing news and analysis, to recaps of the best dirt track races in the region. All live from O'Kelly's Bar and Grill. If the dirt's flying, you can bet Jason Berg is covering it. Track Talk is brought to you in part by Gateway Chevrolet, Brady's Service, O'Kelly's Bar and Grill, Magnum Contracting, and WDAY Radio.
Hey, Ronnie, grilling season finally here this weekend. I'm going to sit on my deck with a cold beer and watch Alex grill some meat.
Speaking of meat, Jay, our great friends from Meats by John and Wayne will be giving away a meat bundle this Thursday on your show. All you have to do is listen for the call-in song. Cheeseburger in paradise. And be the 9th caller.
Ronnie, there's a reason those guys have been voted best butcher shop in the Red River Valley since 2016. Meats by John and Wayne. All your meat needs.
Fall registration is now open at Olivet Lutheran Church. Register your kids for Sunday school, Wednesday school, and confirmation. And adults, we have something for you too. Join our choir, handbell choir, numerous Bible studies, including a women's-specific Bible study, our food pantry group, be a youth group leader or teacher, and more. Sunday school will begin on September 17th, and Wednesday school and confirmation will begin on September 20th. For more information and to get registered, go to olivet.org. Encounter Jesus, experience grace at Olivet Lutheran Church.
It's time to hit the reset button. Lack of sleep can wreak havoc on your health and well-being. It can lead to weight gain, brain fog, and overall exhaustion. Siracet of Fargo can help restore balance, reset your sleep pattern by tapping into your brain's natural ability to help heal and reset back to a state of calm and restfulness. Don't let sleepless nights hold you back. Take the first step towards a healthier, happier you. Contact Siracet of Fargo today.
Call Siracet of Fargo today, 701-566-5231.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same, but at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different? How? You sell high commission investment products, right?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission-based investment products.
Well, you must earn commissions on trades.
Nope, never at Fisher. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in our client's best interest. It's the highest standard of care for a financial advisor.
How do you know what's in their best interest?
We get to know our clients and then tailor a portfolio based on their goals and needs.
But you probably sneak in some hidden and layered fees.
No, we have one transparent management fee, structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, you really do look out for your clients.
That's because our top priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. It might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments and securities involve the risk of loss.
Happy 62nd birthday, Granddad.
Thanks, sweetheart.
I got you this.
A mug. Oh, thank you. What does it say? Beware, if you are 60 or older, you may be at increased risk of hospitalization from RSV, respiratory syncytial virus, compared to adults younger than 60.
Not all dangers come with warning labels. Talk to your pharmacist or doctor about getting vaccinated against RSV today. Learn more at bewareofrsv.com. Brought to you by Pfizer.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for rejoining us. It's 1:39 on this afternoon. Your currents outside right now, about 78 degrees here in Fargo. North winds at 6 miles an hour. Your dew point, 69 degrees, causing a heat index close to 80 degrees. And trust me, it will be getting a little bit warmer once the sunshine starts to break through these clouds. We're rejoining our conversation now with Madison MacDonald Thomas. And if you'd like to join in on that conversation, feel free to do so. Give us a call on the Red Wing Shoes phone line. That's 701-293-9000. Or you can send us emails, weather or ag at flagfamily.com. We also live stream each and every single day on Facebook, YouTube Live, as well as over on Acres TV. That's a browser streaming service for free if you'd like to check out that. They got a lot of other great content out there as well. Now, before we went to break, we were kind of teasing into our next question on when it comes to rodeo trick riding, how are you doing these stunts? How do you hang on to it? And we got a little snippet of one of your performances here of you hanging off the side of a horse, and we'll play that for you. And I was just wondering if you can tell me, how do you stay onto the horse? I mean, you are completely hanging off of this animal with your feet on its side or its chest, and you're doing flips. So how does this work? How do you not fall off when you're hanging on by your toes?
You know, I say it a lot is sometimes I don't really understand how our tricks work because we do, I feel like, kind of defy gravity, I guess is the best way.
Physics with an F.
But it is. It's kind of crazy. I teach it all the time, and then I still kind of get confused on how it actually does work. But it's the way that your straps are positioned they are kind of finicky in a way where you have to have them in the right spot. You have to have your body in the right spot. You have to have your head in the right spot. It's kind of having all of the pieces of the puzzle together to make a trick work. If you're not pushing with your hips or pulling back with your shoulders or don't have your straps in the correct position, it makes the tricks almost impossible. So it's kind of like gymnastics on horseback. That's the best way to ever explain it, because your head is connected and your shoulders and your hips and your body, everything. And if you're not pushing, squeezing, pulling, or whatever in the right way, they don't work.
It is amazing, Madison, to watch what we saw going on. Both you and the horse are really quite the athletes, if there's any other way to describe it. And when you're doing that, as you mentioned, the reins, the saddle, etc., are all of those things custom made for you?
Yes, the saddles are custom made. They're not cheap. They are pretty expensive, but everything, I've used the same saddle guy since I started, and he's out of Colorado. His name is Sheer Custom Saddles, and everything that he does, all of our straps and everything are reinforced with nylon just to give you extra security, because leather does break eventually. One of my saddles that I'm still riding in is I got it when I was 12, so it's almost 20 years old now, and it still is hanging in there. My students use it. It gets used a lot, but it's still in one really good piece. So they do last. They are worth the investment if you are going to jump into this industry, because they do last, but they are specially made. And then I've noticed with a lot of my kids and a lot of people, it's usually the first saddle that you ride in is the one that you're comfortable within for the rest of your career.
And one of the things about your career that I noticed when I saw your online information on social media, et cetera, is, if I'm not mistaken, some pretty high rankings when it comes to National Finals Rodeo, NFR, in Las Vegas. How does that work? I know that you go there if you're a saddle bronc rider or a bull rider. How do you get there if you're a trick rider?
They go through a selection process. So they put us all in front of the committee. We have to apply for it every year to even be considered. And then they pretty much vote on what act that they want to come. I got super lucky. I was 18 the very first year that I got hired, and then I did it for 10 consecutive years after that. It's very high pressured, so the fact that they trusted me at 18 to go in there was honestly probably the biggest highlight of my entire career. And like I said, I've been able to do it for 10 consecutive years, so it's been a blast. And last year was my first year I didn't get to go, but I was actually kind of happy, because there are a lot of girls in my industry, and everyone should deserve the chance to be able to ride in that arena.
So is there like a point ranking system when you're doing these either competitions or shows? Are you getting points or ranked on your performances?
Trick riding used to be a competition event back in the 90s. It hasn't been like that since. Honestly, when I first moved down to the States, everybody used to call it a dying sport. It was something that wasn't showcased the way that it used to be. And then they all told me that I kind of changed all of that. In Canada, it never really did. We tried to bring competitions back for especially the kids that are growing or starting, because it's a great place for them to kind of get their feet wet and to learn and to get constructive criticism back from all of us. But now, honestly, the only thing that trick riding is just a performance. We don't get the competition. We perform and entertain. That's kind of, we're more in the entertainment business now than the competition business. I wish it would go back to competitions because I do have that competitive side to me, and I loved it when we had them. But that's why I still compete in barrel racing and team roping, to be able to keep up with the competition side of things. But yet, honestly, now we're just hired to go and perform and entertain for the fans, and then for the top 5 act of the year, it's you get voted on by your peers and all the committees that you run for, and then to get, like I said, to get hired for the NFR, you are just pretty much selected by a committee.
And you had made a point there that you had said that it's kind of like a dying sport. What is your stance on it now with where it is today? Do you still kind of feel that, or do you think maybe there will be a push to go back into competition?
Honestly, it is insane with how much it has grown. I think it's there are so many trick riders now, young girls starting, and it, I think, has a lot to do with Heartland, the TV show, put a lot of trick riding on there. And then there was 2 trick riding movies came out, and it really has sparked a lot of interest in the youth. And then, you know, with me, I've taught coast to coast through the U.S. I've given a lot of kids opportunities. I teach consistently up in Montana, kind of wherever they call me. If I can get enough girls together, I've got another clinic coming up this month in California. So I've allowed it to grow. I've tried to help it. There are some other fellow performer or trick riders that do teach now as well. And it's just, like I said, not every girl is going to go on with it and go in and perform it, but I would rather them learn how to do it properly than try to learn it off of YouTube, because it's not a sport that you can really learn off of watching. There's so much more that goes into it.
I bet. Yeah. Well, we're running down to our last minute or two, so while we wind down, I just wanted to ask, when it comes to your students or somebody who's just interested, someone new who's thinking about maybe getting into this, whether an adult or a kid of some age, what would you have to say to them with someone who's showing an interest in trick riding?
Honestly, you have to for sure find somebody that's performing it and has some like a resume behind it, because you need to learn from somebody that knows what they're doing, because it, like I said, there's so much into it. There's so many little things that you can't learn from a screen. So it's one of those things where you need to for sure learn from a professional, find somebody. You can reach out to me. If I can't get there, then I can even try to recommend somebody that can get there. Because at the end of the day, it is a dangerous sport, but there's a lot of ways to avoid the danger side of things if you're taught if you're taught correctly. So that's always my biggest thing with it. And other thing is you have to have the experience with a horse. If you aren't really experienced with riding or comfortable on a horse, this is for sure a tough sport for you, because you got to throw your life to the horse pretty much. So I always tell my young girls that are coming in, I said, if you're wondering how to start, I say get into some gymnastics and really be comfortable riding, and then the rest will kind of fall into place.
I see. And I got a phone call here. I'm going to they might have just dropped. We'll see. We can get an email later from them. Madison, I got about a minute here left, maybe a little less than a minute. If someone has any questions, they want to get more information on this, any website, any social media that people can go and check out more of your what you do, where could they go to get that information or follow you?
All my social media is Madison Trick Riding. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram. And then my website is magicinmotions with an S.com. And there's a way to get in touch with me on there as well. So that's kind of the best way. Normally, I post a lot of my clinics, but this year I have had such a full plate of performing. I haven't really had the time to even think about lining up clinics yet. I'm just trying to make it through the summer because I go all the way until October 15th.
Wow.
I haven't, and then my one weekend that I have off, I ended up booking a clinic in Montana. So it's kind of one of those things where I'm booked straight through almost till November. And then I kind of try to fill in with some clinics after that. So, but that would be the best way to try to get in touch with me is either through social media or on my website.
Awesome. Well, Madison, thank you very much for joining us here on Weather and Ag in Focus, and stay safe out there and have fun, all right?
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Not a problem at all. We got to check on the American Ag Network when we come back, a check on the forecast, a couple more ag topics, and any questions you might have.
Looking for more than just a job? How would you like to start and grow with a company that is family-oriented and offers great pay and benefits and room to grow your career? Plains Grain and Agronomy has immediate positions available for a precision ag service technician, general laborer, custom applicator, and a Class A truck driver at their locations in Enderlin, Marion, and Mott, North Dakota. Plains Grain and Agronomy looks forward to visiting with you. Apply online at plainsgrain.com.
Welcome to Inside the Huddle for a Vikings training camp update. We're updating you on the Vikings all preseason long, bringing you up to week 1 when the Vikings host the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. These updates are brought to you by Jiffy Lube of Fargo. Head coach Kevin O'Connell spoke to media after the Vikings' 24-16 loss to the Tennessee Titans in week 2 of the preseason. O'Connell gave his thoughts on evaluating players based on their execution in preseason games.
Yeah, we have to be able to see guys in certain aspects that they're going to need to show what they're capable of doing at this point, whether it's a rookie, a second-year player, a veteran player. We need to know what we have, so when we actually start game planning for opponents, we can build the best plans for our players, because that's ultimately what my number one goal is when I meet with the staff each and every week of the season, is how do we do our part to make sure we give these guys a good chance to have success by schematically what we're asking them to do, and then are we teaching them the techniques and fundamentals to go do that. So I think it's a great point, but I still would like to see our team able to come out in these preseason games and compete to get victories as well, no matter who's in the game. It really, that doesn't matter. We're always trying to come out and win football games.
This has been a look inside the huddle of Vikings training camp. These updates are brought to you by Jiffy Lube of Fargo, where you can do more in a jiffy.
Markets mostly higher at midday. This is the American Ag Network of Jesse Allen with this market update. We're joined now by Arlen Suderman of StoneX for market analysis. Arlen, grains are quietly higher here today. I know we had another drone strike overnight of Russia attacking more Ukrainian grain ports on the Danube River. But outside of that, what are you seeing that's moving the market trade today?
There was a day when those drone strikes would have had a sharply higher, but the market seems to be growing fatigued by those headlines. We did go higher overnight, but had trouble really sustaining that strength into today. As we look at today's strength, it seems to be largely two factors really supporting it. One is that we've seen a sharp break in the dollar after economic data came out this morning showing that the business activity in the United States has really stagnated this month. And that's raising concerns about recession causing treasury yields to really drop off sharply from where they were at the start of the day. And as that has happened, demand for dollars has decreased, so the dollar's broken. And a weaker dollar tends to cause money to come back into the commodities because we become a little bit more competitive on the global market. The other factor that we're seeing provide support for corn and soybean is the Midwest crop tour that's going on right now. It's day 3 of the tour. So the 2 branches of the tour are moving from eastern Nebraska into western Iowa and moving from eastern Illinois into western Illinois and into eastern Iowa. And as they've done so, they're still finding fields with good yields, but they're finding an increased incidence of fields with poorer yield potential, where there's a lot of tip back on the corn, a lot of portions of the ears that aren't developed, more bean pods with just 2 beans in them instead of 3. They're seeing an increased incidence of that. So not a crop disaster, but maybe indicating that the USDA's yields are probably still a little bit too high.
That's Arlen Suderman of StoneX on the American Ag Network.
Pucklet Chevrolet Buick GMC in Valley City makes it easy to find your next Chevrolet Buick GMC or pre-owned vehicle by offering a great selection at our best prices possible.
And welcome back to WDAY Weather and Ag in Focus, because we are thrilled that you're here joining us. And us would mean myself, Bridgette Readel, Ag Director, along with Justin Storm, Meteorologist Extraordinaire. And speaking of Meteorology Extraordinaire, what's coming at us? What's it look like out there for the rest of the day and the weekend?
Well, we're still stuck with the cloud cover right now, and we're looking at temperatures in the upper 70s. Still a couple of isolated pop-up showers, but we will be seeing decreasing clouds throughout this afternoon. So we're just about to start seeing those clouds thin out over this next hour, and then temperatures will warm quickly into the mid and in a few spots upper 80s. We should top out about 86 here in Fargo. North winds right now we're at 6 miles an hour. They'll start to turn southerly throughout this afternoon and then go light and variable throughout this evening. Overnight, an isolated storm possible throughout the northern valley over towards the Devil's Lake Basin. We should stay dry down here, but I can't quite rule out the possibility one of those showers will hold together and push around the FM metro. It would favor north side of town with lows in the mid-60s, some patchy fog around the area for Thursday morning. Then a partly cloudy day on Thursday. Temps again, mid to upper 80s. Northeast winds will turn southerly through the afternoon, similar to today, under 10 miles per hour. And we'll get some storms developing west of the Devil's Lake, pushing into the basin throughout the afternoon, into the northern valley by the evening. And we should see them fill in towards the southern valley as we head throughout the later evening, and especially after dark. Most of this looks to push out of here by 3 a.m., so hopefully most people can get a 1/4 inch of rain out of this, and a few people will probably end up with a 1/2 inch to an inch, especially if you can get a couple of those thunderstorms to push overhead, especially some of the ones that deliver more of the heavier downpours. And there will be a chance for some severe weather tomorrow, and even tonight there's a slim chance it'll be a possibility for some strong winds and possibly some hail. Can't even rule out the possibility of an isolated tornado over the next 2 days. So just something we'll keep an eye on. It's just the tornado threat is quite low. I'd be more concerned about the wind than anything. After that, we're right around 80 on Friday, mid-70s on Saturday, and upper 70s for Sunday, with another chance for a couple light scattered showers.
All right. You know what? I may be doing some traveling in the next week or so. I'm going to have to send you some locations and ask you for my own personalized forecast where I might be headed and what those poor people might be in for, wherever it is I could wind up.
I think we can do that for you there, Bridgette.
Yeah, because it seems I'm usually the cause of the whatever weather situation comes their way. I'll try not to wreck it.
Well, if it's not winter, they hopefully don't have to worry about snow.
That would be a great thing.
Man,
but if I pass through Summit, South Dakota, snow any time of the year is always a possibility.
Ooh, good point. Good point. Well, what do you say, Bridget? Always. Should we end the show on one more ag topic here?
I think we could. Which one would you like?
Oh, let's talk a little bit about starter flocks for youth.
Okay, so this will be able to go a little bit more in depth with tomorrow if we need to, and that is the fact that there are grants available for young adults who want to get started using are having their own herd of sheep. And so if you're interested in that, if you're a young student, you're thinking, I would like to do something for my 4-H or my FFA project, and I need a way to fund that, there are grants available for it. So if you are interested, you can drop me an email, ag@flagfamily.com. I'll pass along that information for you. I bet we'll talk about it again tomorrow, Justin, and we will make sure that everybody's covered if they want to start investing in some sheep.
Yeah, definitely. We'll hit on it tomorrow at the beginning of the show. We'll have plenty of time to go over that. And that'll about wrap it up for us here on Weather and Ag in Focus today. We want to thank you for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow from 1 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Remember, we do live stream each and every single day on Facebook and YouTube Live, as well as on Acres TV. And you can always call us on the Red Wing Shoes phone line or on our studio inboxes, weather or ag@flagfamily.com. We'll catch you tomorrow. Have a great rest of the afternoon. The Jay Thomas Show is coming up next.
AM 970 and FM 93.1, WDAY, Fargo.